In 1995, the PlayStation launched the flashy 3D fighting game that promised to refine the genre. It had weapons, sidesteps, and true 3D combat. That game was Battle Arena Toshinden. But by 2025, it's largely forgotten. What went wrong? And why did this once pioneering fighting game just disappear? We're gonna go ahead and get into it. Now, Toshinden was developed by Tamsoft and published by Takara, debuting in Japan as Toshinden. It was one of the first true 3D weapon-based fighting games, letting players move around their opponents in full 360-degree arenas. For a brief moment, it felt like the future of fighting games. It launched right after the PlayStation debuted and was heavily marketed by Sony as one of its showcase titles. At the time, critics called it a visual marvel and a solid launch hit. Magazines hyped it as a so-called Saturn killer, aimed squarely at Sega's Virtua Fighter. The first game's success led to sequels Toshinden 2 and Toshinden 3, and a few spin-offs, including the chibi-style Nin Toshinden. The series included mechanics like enclosed areas, wall juggles, and a soul bomb power system. But even with these updates, it couldn't keep its early magic. Tekken, Soul Edge, and other fighters began raising the bar for both gameplay and depth. Toshinden's once innovative 3D style started to feel limited and slow by comparison. Reviewers called it flashy but shallow. What had been new quickly became outdated. The gameplay lacked the speed and complexity players wanted. While the graphics looked great at first, they aged quickly. Sony moved on to other titles and franchises, and Tamsoft's sequels came fast but didn't evolve enough. Toshinden 3, for instance, added more fighters and arenas but was criticized for feeling rushed. As expectations for fighting games grew, with deeper combos, smoother animations, and tighter mechanics, Toshinden fell behind. Over time, the series faded away. By the late 90s, its name meant very little in a genre now dominated by Tekken, Dead or Alive, and Soul Calibur. Like the 2009 Wii reboot, simply titled Toshinden, but it barely resembled the original and never released globally. Fans dismissed it, calling it in name only. The irony is that Toshinden paved the way for many of the fighters that replaced it. It was the first 3D weapons fighter, a concept that inspired others. Soul Edge and later Soul Calibur carried these ideas forward with more polish and depth. While those games thrived, Toshinden became a footnote, remembered by retro fans, forgotten by the mainstream. By 2025, Battle Arena Toshinden is mostly remembered as a pioneer that didn't survive evolution. Its story is about how innovation can fade when others refine your idea better. Fans on forums still ask if it could ever come back, but most agree that if it did, it would need massive reimagining, modern visuals, deep mechanics, and online play. Otherwise, it would just be a nostalgic remake without purpose. Still, Toshinden's influence matters. It helped prove that 3D weapon-based combat was possible and exciting. It inspired the games that perfected what it started. Even if it died early, it deserves credit for kicking off a moment that shaped an entire generation of fighters. Battle Arena Toshinden may have vanished from the spotlight, but its legacy lives on in arenas, characters, combat systems, and mechanics of other fighters that came after. It's the story of a game that was ahead of its time, then left behind by the very progress it inspired. And now, Battle Arena Toshinden's legacy lives on, because they got a new trilogy coming out, where a new generation can experience the magic that was felt when these games dropped.